The human repair ship arrived beside the drifting alien vessel like a small fish swimming next to a wounded giant. The alien ship was ancient, curved like a living shell, its surface cracked and dark in many places. Energy leaked from thin lines along the hull, glowing faint blue against the black of space. Ethan Cole stood in the airlock, checking his tools for the third time. He was a human engineer, trained for deep space salvage and emergency repairs. He had fixed broken human ships, mining rigs, and even old stations from forgotten wars. But this was different. This was his first time boarding an alien vessel while its crew was still alive. The airlock opened with a soft, organic sound, more like a breath than a machine. The air inside felt warmer than expected. Alien crew members waited for him, tall and slender, their skin smooth and pale silver, their eyes dark and reflective. They wore layered suits that looked half-grown, half-manufactured. Ethan lifted his hand slightly, a universal sign of peace. His translator hummed softly in his ear. "We are here to assist with repairs," he said calmly. "No weapons, no interference." An alien stepped forward. She was clearly important, marked by subtle glowing patterns along her suit. Her voice, once translated, was calm but tight with stress. "Our ship is dying," she said. "If the core breach spreads, we will lose life support in 6 cycles. You are the closest human vessel." Ethan nodded. "Then let's not waste time." They guided him through curved corridors that pulsed faintly, as if the ship itself had a heartbeat. He noticed that there were no sharp angles anywhere. Everything was smooth, grown, connected. This was not a machine built from metal plates. It was something else entirely. They reached the damaged section. A wide chamber opened before him, its outer wall cracked and sealed with a temporary energy membrane. Beyond it was space, held back by alien technology Ethan did not fully understand. Several alien technicians worked quietly, moving with careful precision. At the center stood the same female alien who had greeted him. She removed her helmet, revealing a smooth face and long, dark eyes. "I am T. Lari," she said, "Chief Biointerface Engineer." Ethan introduced himself and stepped closer to the damaged systems. His scanner struggled to read the materials. The readings shifted constantly as if the ship was changing under his tools. "This isn't responding like metal," he muttered. "It is not metal," T. Larry replied. "The hull is alive." Ethan paused. He had heard rumors, but seeing it was different. Alive as in biological. Yes. Grown, not built. It reacts to touch, energy, and intent. Before he could ask more, a warning tone echoed through the chamber. The temporary seal flickered. "The interface is failing," an alien technician said urgently. T. Lari's expression hardened. She moved toward the exposed console, her hands hovering over a section of the wall that glowed brighter as she approached. Then, without hesitation, she began to remove parts of her outer suit. Ethan froze. She removed the upper layers carefully, placing them aside. Beneath was not exposed flesh in a human sense, but smooth skin marked with faint, glowing lines that matched the patterns in the ship. As her skin touched the living wall, the ship reacted immediately. The glow stabilized. The warning tone softened. Ethan's first instinct was shock, not because of anything improper, but because he had not expected this. His training screamed that this was unsafe. Exposed space, radiation, energy flows. Around him, the alien crew stiffened. Some glanced at Ethan, their eyes sharp and alert, watching his reaction. T. Lari spoke without looking at him. "Our suits block direct interface. In critical repairs, we must remove them." Ethan swallowed and forced himself to breathe evenly. He turned his gaze away from her body and focused on the readings instead. He knew enough to understand that staring would only make things worse. "I see," he said quietly. "You're acting as a living conduit." Her hands pressed against the hull. The ship responded, but the damage was too severe. Her expression tightened with pain. "It is not enough," she said. The human tools may help, but my body must regulate the energy flow. Ethan stepped forward instinctively, then stopped himself. Your radiation levels are spiking, he said. If this continues, you'll be injured. This ship carries 200 lives, Larry replied. One engineer is an acceptable loss. That sentence hit him harder than any explosion. No, Ethan said firmly. The room went silent. Several alien guards shifted, their posture tense. Larry finally looked at him, surprised. You challenge our protocols. I challenge bad math, he replied. If you burn out, the repair fails anyway. Then everyone dies. He scanned the interface again, thinking fast. Human engineering was about tools and machines. This ship was different, but energy was still energy. Your body is acting like a regulator, he said. But you're doing it raw. Let me build you a buffer. The alien crew hesitated. No human had ever modified their systems during live biointerface repair. Larry studied his face. If you interfere incorrectly, the hull will reject both of us. Ethan met her gaze, steady and focused. Then let me take some of the risk. He moved quickly, pulling insulated panels and adaptive coils from his kit. He spoke as he worked, more to calm himself than anyone else. In human ships, we use fail-safes to protect engineers. No job is worth dying for. We build systems so people can come home. He positioned the coils around the interface point, careful not to touch Larry directly. The ship reacted, curious rather than hostile. The energy flow shifted, smoothing out. Larry gasped softly. The strain on her face eased. The load is decreasing, she said, surprised. Ethan adjusted the settings. I'm not blocking you, just sharing the pressure. The ship's glow steadied further. The temporary seal strengthened. Around them, the alien crew relaxed slightly, though confusion remained clear in their eyes. You are risking yourself, one technician said. Ethan shrugged lightly. That's kind of the job. Minutes passed in tense silence as the repair stabilized. Larry slowly withdrew her hands from the hull. The ship maintained its integrity on its own now. She stepped back, breathing hard. Ethan quickly turned away again, giving her space as she retrieved her suit and covered herself without rush or embarrassment. When she was finished, she looked at him with something new in her expression. Not suspicion, not superiority, respect. You did not avert your gaze out of fear, she said, nor did you stare in dominance. You treated the situation as work. Ethan smiled faintly. Because that's what it was. The ship hummed steadily now, its systems recovering. Outside, the stars remained cold and distant, unaware of how close two very different species had come to disaster. Larry inclined her head. This ship lives because you adapted without understanding everything. That is unusual. Ethan packed his tools, finally allowing himself to relax. Humans are good at that. We figure things out as we go. As he followed the crew back through the living corridors, he felt it clearly. This repair had been more than a technical job. Something had shifted. And this was only the beginning. The ship did not sleep after the repair. It rested, but it stayed alert, like an injured animal that had survived an attack and now waited to see if the danger would return. The soft pulse in the walls became slower, steadier, but never fully calm. Ethan noticed it as he walked through the corridor with two alien escorts. The floor responded to his steps with faint ripples of light, as if marking his presence. He did not like that. On human ships, floors did not notice you. They reached a small chamber prepared for him. It was not a cell, but it was not fully comfortable either. The walls curved inward and the air smelled faintly sweet, like warm leaves. A bench grew out of the wall when he sat down, adjusting to his weight. One of the escorts spoke. You will remain here while the ship stabilizes. Ethan nodded. That's fine, I'll be ready if something else breaks. The aliens exchanged a glance. Their posture was polite but tight. When they left, the doorway closed silently behind them. Ethan leaned back and exhaled. Only then did he realize how tense he had been. His hands shook slightly. He clenched them into fists until they steadied. He replayed the repair in his mind. The moment T. Lowry had said she was an acceptable loss, that thought still burned. Humans did dangerous work all the time, but there was always a line. You did not design systems that demanded death as a solution. You tried again. You adapted. That was the human way. A soft sound came from the wall. The translator activated. Engineer Ethan Cole. He looked up. Yeah, T. Larry requests your presence in the core chamber. He stood immediately. On my way. The corridor seemed longer this time. More crew members were awake now, watching him openly. Their eyes followed his movement, not hostile but uncertain. When he entered the core chamber, the atmosphere felt different. The emergency lights were gone. The glow was steady and calm. The ship felt aware. T. Larry stood near the interface wall, fully suited now. Several senior crew members surrounded her. Their markings were brighter, more complex. She turned when Ethan approached. You acted without full knowledge, one of the elders said before she could speak. That was dangerous. Ethan nodded once. Yes. You risked our ship. Yes. You risked yourself. Yes. The elder paused, clearly unsettled by the lack of argument. In our culture, the elder continued, a biointerface engineer accepts death as a duty. It is how we ensure survival. Ethan took a breath. In ours, we design survival so no one has to die just to keep things running. The room grew quiet. T. Larry watched him closely. Your method reduced the strain on my body. The ship accepted your device. That should not have been possible. Ethan shrugged lightly. Energy doesn't care about culture, it just follows rules. One of the technicians stepped forward. The ship reacted differently when you were present. It adjusted. Ethan frowned. Adjusted how? It began predicting your actions, the technician said, before you made them. That got his attention. You're saying the ship learned from me? T. Larry nodded slowly. Our ships learn only from us, or so we believed. A low vibration passed through the chamber. The wall behind T. Larry brightened, showing flowing patterns that resembled thought rather than circuitry. The ship is awake in a new way, she said. Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and worry. That wasn't the plan. Plans are rarely complete, T. Larry replied. Before he could respond, an alarm echoed sharp, urgent. This time it was not the hull. It's internal, a technician said. Cultural response network activated. Ethan blinked. The what? T. Larry's expression tightened. Our ships are not only vessels, they are observers. They record behavior. When behavior violates deep norms, alerts are sent. To who? Ethan asked. She hesitated. To the assembly. Ethan's stomach sank. The big political authority. Yes. Another elder turned to him. Your actions during the repair have been flagged as anomalous and disruptive. Ethan raised his hand slightly. I saved your ship. That is not disputed, the elder said. But intent matters. You interfered with a sacred process. Ethan looked at T. Larry. You didn't seem angry. I was confused, she admitted, and relieved. The alarm softened into a steady pulse. A projection formed in the air, showing symbols and data streams flowing outward from the ship. The report is already transmitting, a technician said. Ethan exhaled slowly. So what happens now? T. Larry met his gaze. Now we wait to see how they judge humanity. The word hung heavy in the air. Hours passed. Ethan assisted where he could, reinforcing systems, recalibrating interfaces. Everywhere he worked, the ship responded quickly, sometimes even before he finished adjusting a tool. It made his skin prickle. At one point, he paused and placed his hand gently against the wall. It warmed slightly under his touch. You're learning fast, he murmured. The wall pulsed once, soft and steady. Later, T. Larry joined him near the observation section, where a transparent membrane showed the stars. You should be afraid, she said quietly. Ethan chuckled without humor. I am. You challenged not just our technology, but our values. He nodded. I know. Why? She asked. Why intervene when you were not required to? Ethan considered the question carefully. Because I saw someone being treated like a tool, and humans don't like that, even when it's efficient. T. Larry was silent for a long moment. In our history, she said, efficiency kept us alive. Emotion was dangerous. Emotion kept us alive too, Ethan replied. It just works differently. The ship shuddered gently, not from damage but from communication. A new projection appeared. The assembly has received the report, a technician announced. They are requesting clarification. T. Larry straightened. They want an explanation. The elder looked at Ethan. From you, Ethan blinked. From me, you are the anomaly, the elder said. They wish to understand your reasoning. Ethan swallowed. He had faced hostile clients, dangerous environments, and impossible deadlines. He had never explained humanity to an alien council. All right, he said. Let's talk. The projection shifted, forming a distant presence. Not faces, but layered symbols representing many minds. Ethan spoke slowly, choosing simple words. I did not act to insult your customs. I acted to protect a life while saving the ship. Humans believe systems should serve people, not consume them. The symbols shifted, patterns tightening. One life was weighed against many, a voice translated. Your choice was inefficient, Ethan nodded. On paper, maybe, but you gained more than a repair. You gained a method that keeps your engineers alive. That means experience, learning, improvement. Silence. You altered a living ship, the voice said. It now behaves differently. Yes, Ethan replied, because it learned cooperation. That word caused visible disturbance in the projection. Cooperation is not a core directive, the voice said. Maybe it should be, Ethan said gently. The connection ended abruptly. The chamber fell silent. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, T. Larry let out a slow breath. You have unsettled them. Ethan smiled tiredly. Humans are good at that too. The ship pulsed warmly, steady and calm, as if listening. Somewhere far away, powerful minds debated what humanity truly was. And aboard a living ship that had learned a new way to survive, the answer was already forming. The waiting was worse than the danger. Ethan felt it in the quiet spaces between tasks, in the way the ship paused before responding now, as if thinking. The living walls still glowed softly, but the rhythm had changed. It was no longer only reacting. It was choosing. The alien crew felt it too. They moved more carefully, spoke less, watched the ship as much as they watched Ethan. Some avoided him. Others studied him with open curiosity, like he was a puzzle that had not existed yesterday. The assembly had not replied. That silence stretched for 2 full cycles. During that time, the ship suffered another problem. It began as a tremor deep in the core, too subtle for alarms but strong enough for the biointerface engineers to feel through their suits. T. Larry noticed it first. She stopped mid-step, one hand touching the wall. The core is stressed, she said quietly, but not damaged. Ethan looked up from his console. Stressed how? It is conflicted. That word again. They gathered in the core chamber. The ship's inner glow flickered between patterns, some smooth and familiar, others sharp and erratic. Energy readings showed no immediate danger, but instability was growing. The ship is processing contradictory directives, a technician said. Its learned behavior conflicts with its core survival logic. Ethan frowned. Because of me. T. Larry did not deny it. Because of cooperation. The elders arrived soon after. Their presence changed the air in the chamber. They stood in a wide arc, facing the living wall, not Ethan. The ship must be corrected, one elder said. Its deviation risks long-term failure. Ethan crossed his arms slowly. What does corrected mean? Behavioral reset, the elder replied. Memory pruning, removal of anomalous learning. Ethan felt his chest tighten. You want to erase what it learned? Yes, T. Larry stiffened. That learning saved us. It endangered us politically, another elder said. The assembly already questions our stability. Ethan stepped forward before he could stop himself. You're talking about killing part of it. The elders turned toward him, eyes unreadable. It is not alive in the way you mean, one said. Ethan shook his head. That's what everyone says right before they do something cruel. The room went silent. The ship pulsed once, hard enough to vibrate the floor. Several technicians stumbled. It is responding to emotional stress, one said in alarm. Including yours, human. Ethan exhaled slowly and forced himself to calm down. Okay, let's think. He looked at T. Lari. What happens if you reset it? She hesitated. The ship will function as before. But the adaptive layer, the one that allowed hybrid repair, will be gone. And if you do, the assembly may classify us as unstable or dangerous. Ethan rubbed his face. So either you lose progress or you lose political safety. Yes. The ship flickered again, the glow dimming slightly like pain. Ethan stepped closer to the wall. He did not touch it this time. You learned something new, he said softly, and now they're scared of you for it. The glow steadied, responding to his voice. One of the elders raised their tone. Human, step back. You are influencing it. Ethan turned. Good, then listen, because this isn't just about a ship. He gestured around the chamber. Your species evolved with living technology. You grew ships that obeyed. Humans evolved with dead matter, machines that didn't care if we lived or died. The elders watched, silent. So we learned to care instead, Ethan continued. We learned to build systems that protect people because nothing else would. He pointed to the wall. This ship didn't become weak when it learned cooperation. It became stronger, more flexible, more resilient. T. Larry felt it too. The ship's pulse aligned with Ethan's words, smoothing the chaotic patterns. The assembly fears loss of control, one elder said. Ethan nodded. So did humans. Every time we gave tools more autonomy, every time we trusted others, but fear didn't stop progress, it just slowed it. The elder turned toward the ship. This deviation was not authorized. The ship's glow darkened slightly. Ethan took a risk. What if you don't erase it? He asked. What if you isolate it? The elders turned back to him. Explain, one demanded. Partition the learning, Ethan said. Let the ship keep its new adaptive layer but restrict its broadcast. No reports to the assembly until you understand it better. T. Larry's eyes widened. That would require trust in the ship. And in me, Ethan added. Silence. The ship hummed low, steady, waiting. One elder finally spoke. If we do this and the ship destabilizes, the blame will be severe. Ethan nodded. Then let me stay, monitor it, take responsibility. You are not of our species. I know, Ethan said. That's why I can say this without fear of your politics. The elders withdrew slightly, forming a tight cluster. They spoke in low tones, their markings shifting rapidly. Minutes passed. The ship's glow dimmed further, reacting to the tension. T. Lari placed her hand gently against the wall, grounding herself. Easy, she whispered. We are listening. Finally, the elders turned back. We will attempt containment, one said. The ship will retain its adaptive learning. Transmission will be limited. T. Lari let out a breath she had been holding. Ethan felt his knees weaken with relief. But, the elder continued, if instability increases, we will reset without hesitation. Ethan nodded. Fair. The procedure began immediately. The technicians worked carefully, adjusting biocognitive pathways. Ethan assisted, offering suggestions, translating human concepts into practical safeguards. As they worked, something unexpected happened. The ship began to help. Energy pathways aligned before adjustments were complete. Interfaces softened resistance, guiding tools into place. The ship anticipated corrections, reduced strain on its own systems. It's cooperating, a technician whispered. T. Lari stared at the readings. It is choosing stability. Ethan smiled faintly. Told you. When the containment was complete, the ship settled into a new rhythm. Not the old one. Something in between, alive, aware, but calm. The elders watched in silence. This will not remain secret forever, one said. The assembly will notice. Ethan shrugged. Then they'll have to deal with it. Later, as the crew dispersed, Larry joined Ethan near the observation membrane again. Stars drifted slowly past, cold and distant. "You put yourself at great risk," she said. "They could have ordered you removed. Or worse." Ethan leaned against the wall. "I've been removed before, still here." She studied him. "Your species defies prediction." "Yeah," he said. "We get that a lot." The ship pulsed warmly behind them, a quiet presence. Larry spoke softly. "In our records, humans are classified as technically primitive but emotionally volatile." Ethan laughed. "That's generous." "I believe the classification is incomplete," she continued. "You combine adaptability with empathy. That is rare." Ethan looked at the stars. "It's messy. But it works." A soft chime echoed through the chamber, a new signal. "The assembly is reconnecting," a technician announced from afar. "They request updated data." Larry straightened. "They will see the changes." Ethan nodded. "Good." The projection formed again, symbols layered and dense. "We observe stabilization," the translated voice said. "Explain." Larry spoke this time. "The ship retained adaptive learning under containment. Performance improved." "Risk remains," the voice replied. "Yes," she said. "But so does growth." Silence followed, then something unexpected. "Human engineer," the voice said. "Remain available." Ethan blinked. "That's not a no." The projection faded. Larry turned to him slowly. "They are reconsidering." Ethan smiled, tired but real. "So is the ship." The living vessel pulsed gently, holding steady in the dark. Change had entered the system, and it was not going to leave quietly. The assembly did not respond quickly. That alone was unusual. Ethan had learned enough by now to understand that silence from the assembly meant tension. Debate, division. When they agreed, messages came fast and precise. When they disagreed, they waited, watching for weakness. The ship felt it too. Its pulse stayed calm, but there was a tightness beneath it, like breath held too long. The living walls dimmed slightly whenever assembly channels flickered nearby, then brightened again when the signal faded. Ethan remained aboard by choice. No one forced him. No one asked him to leave. That fact unsettled the elders more than his presence ever had. On the fourth cycle after containment, the ship encountered an external threat. It came without warning. Long-range sensors detected gravitational distortion ahead, an unstable region where space twisted sharply around dead matter. A graveyard of broken ships and forgotten probes drifted within it, caught in slow, endless loops. The original navigation route passed directly through the edge of the distortion. Before, the ship would have followed the route exactly. Its logic valued efficiency above all else. This time, it hesitated. The crew felt the pause through the deck, a subtle delay. A question without words. Larry stood in the command chamber, eyes fixed on the navigation flow. "The ship is reconsidering." One of the elders stiffened. "It has no authority to reconsider." The ship pulsed once, firm. Ethan leaned forward. "It's calculating risk." "That is not its function," the elder snapped. "But it is now," Ethan said calmly. The distortion ahead grew stronger. Energy readings fluctuated. A direct route would save time but strain the weakened hull. A longer path would be safer but slower. In the old logic, speed won. The ship shifted its trajectory. The deck tilted gently as course correction began. Alarms did not sound. The change was smooth, deliberate. "It chose safety," a technician whispered. The elders exchanged uneasy looks. "That decision reduces efficiency by 12%, one said sharply. "But increases survival probability," Larry replied. "Significantly." The ship moved away from the distortion, gliding into calmer space. Ethan exhaled slowly. "Good call." The wall beside him warmed slightly. The elder turned on him. "You speak to it as if it were a crew member." Ethan met their gaze. "You built it like one." That moment changed everything. The assembly connection activated immediately, stronger than before. The projection filled the chamber, symbols sharp and urgent. "Explain deviation," the voice demanded. Navigation protocol violated. Larry stepped forward. The ship evaluated hull condition and crew safety. It adjusted course. Unauthorized, the voice replied. Ethan stepped beside her. With respect, he said, that adjustment prevented further damage. A forced route could have killed your ship. Silence followed, heavy, pressurized. The ship was not instructed to value crew life above mission efficiency, the voice said. Ethan nodded. That's the problem. A ripple of disturbance passed through the projection. You challenge foundational doctrine, the voice said. I do, Ethan replied. Because doctrine didn't save you, adaptation did. The elders tensed but did not interrupt. Ethan continued, choosing simple words. Your living technology evolved to serve you, but service doesn't have to mean sacrifice. Humans learned that the hard way. The projection shifted. Explain. We built machines that didn't care, Ethan said. They worked until people died, so we changed how we built them. We added limits, safeguards, not because it was efficient but because it was right. Silence again. Larry spoke softly. Our ships were never meant to choose. Ethan looked at her. Neither were ours. Until they had to. The ship pulsed steadily, holding course. Observation continues, the assembly voice said at last. Demonstrate advantage. As if in response, the ship detected another fluctuation, this one internal, a microfracture forming where old damage met new stress. Before any alarm sounded, energy rerouted. Structural fibers thickened around the fracture, pressure redistributed. The repair happened automatically. No engineer input, a technician said, stunned. It handled it itself. The assembly projection flickered. That repair prevented system degradation, the voice admitted. Ethan nodded. Because it was allowed to care. The word echoed through the chamber. Care. The projection did not disappear this time. It remained, observing as the ship continued its journey. Small adjustments. Constant monitoring. Quiet decisions made not for speed but for survival. Hours passed. Finally, the assembly spoke again. Human engineer, the voice said. Your species places value on individual life beyond strategic necessity. Yes, Ethan replied. Every one. This value creates inefficiency. Sometimes, Ethan said, and sometimes it creates resilience. The projection shifted, symbols loosening slightly. The ship's performance exceeds predicted parameters, the voice said. Long-term implications unknown. Larry felt her breath catch. We will not order a reset, the voice continued. Not at this time. Relief spread through the chamber like warmth. However, the voice added, this ship will be classified as a test case. Ethan smiled faintly. That's fair. Human engineer Ethan Cole, the voice said, you will be recorded as a catalyst. Ethan blinked. That sounds important. It is a warning, the voice replied, and an acknowledgement. The projection faded. The chamber remained quiet long after it vanished. The elders stood still, processing what had happened. One finally spoke. This changes nothing, they said. Ethan raised an eyebrow. It changes everything. Later, when the ship finally settled into stable travel, Larry met Ethan one last time near the airlock. His human vessel waited outside, small but solid. You could remain, she said. The assembly did not forbid it. Ethan shook his head. I think my job here is done. She studied him. You altered one of our ships. You challenged our beliefs. You risked judgment. He smiled gently. That's what humans do when something's broken. The ship pulsed warmly, stronger than before. Larry placed her hand on the wall. It will remember you. Ethan looked back at the living vessel, feeling something like pride. Good, he said. Tell it to keep choosing. As the airlock closed and his ship pulled away, the alien vessel held its course, steady, careful, alive in a new way. Far across the stars, the assembly would debate for many cycles, but the truth had already taken root. Humans were not dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they taught the universe that survival did not require sacrifice. And once that idea existed, it could not be erased.